I never thought I'd stand at my own wedding altar, heart pounding like a jackhammer in a demolition site, watching my best friend, my goddamn maid of honor, grab the mic and drop a bomb that could level a city block. I'm pregnant with Jake's child. The words hung in the air like tear gas. Every guest gasping. Forks clattering against plates in the banquet hall off the Vegas Strip. But I just smiled, because I'd rigged the projector behind her to explode with the truth she'd buried deeper than a mob boss's body in the desert. And as the screen lit up, flickering to life with grainy dashboard cam footage of her tires screeching on that rain-slicked backroad 5 years ago, the real carnage began, not with blood, but with the kind of betrayal that makes you question if forgiveness was ever an option in the first place. It started in that godforsaken summer of 2018, back when Emily and I were thick as thieves in our nowhere town of Milford, Ohio, cornfields stretching like God's own boredom. The kind of place where Friday nights meant bonfires and bad decisions under a sky so starless it felt like the universe had given up. I was 19, fresh out of high school, working doubles at the local diner slinging hash browns to truckers who smelled like diesel and regret, dreaming of escaping to the bright lights of somewhere that didn't reek of fertilizer. Emily was my ride or die. The girl who'd crash sleepovers at my trailer with stolen six-packs and stories wilder than a Tarantino flick. We were sisters in all but blood. The type who'd sworn we'd burn the world down for each other. That night, the one that changed everything, we were blasting down Route 23 after a party at the old quarry, too many shots of cheap tequila chasing the high of feeling invincible. Emily was behind the wheel of her daddy's beat-up Ford pickup, her blonde hair whipping like a flag in the wind from the open window, laughing that hyena cackle of hers as she floored it past 80. "Come on, Soph. Live a little," she'd yelled, her eyes glassy in the rear view. I was in the passenger seat, buzzed but not stupid, clutching the door handle like it was a lifeline. The rain started then, a biblical downpour that turned the road into a black mirror, headlights slicing through sheets of water like knives. She didn't see the curve. Or maybe she did, and just didn't care. Emily always had that reckless spark. The one that made boys fall at her feet and teachers shake their heads. The truck hydroplaned, tires screaming like banshees, and we slammed into the guardrail with a crunch that echoed in my bones. But that wasn't the worst of it.
No.
The real nightmare unfolded when we stumbled out, soaked and shaking, and saw the sedan we'd sideswiped flipped into the ditch. Its driver slumped over the wheel, a middle-aged accountant named Harlan Reeves, father of 3, just heading home from a late shift at the mill. His eyes were open, staring at nothing, rain pooling in the craters of his shattered windshield. Emily froze, her face draining to the color of curdled milk. "Oh God. Soph. What did I do?" she whispered, her voice a child's plea. I should have called 911 right then, let the chips fall where they may. But she was Emily, my Emily, the girl who'd held my hand through my mom's overdose when I was 12, who'd scraped together gas money so we could drive to the lake and pretend we were free. And, in that moment, with sirens wailing distant in the night, I made the call that would haunt me like a ghost in a funhouse mirror. It was me. I lied to the cops when they arrived, my voice steady as rebar. I was driving. She tried to stop me. They bought it. Small-town justice moves fast when the story fits the script. The wild girl from the trailer park, high on life and liquid courage, taking a curve too hot. Emily sobbed in the back of the ambulance, swearing she'd make it right. But I waved her off, told the judge it was my idea to borrow the truck. Manslaughter. They called it negligent homicide wrapped in a bow of leniency because Harlan's widow was too broken to push for more. 6 months in county lockup for me. Community service for her as the innocent passenger. I did the time. The whispers. The shank of a stare from his family at the sentencing. Emily visited every weekend, bringing contraband candy bars and promises, "I'll pay you back.
Soft.
I'll be your shadow forever." Out on parole, I clawed my way to Cincinnati, waitressing at a dive bar off the river, saving pennies for a fresh start. That's where I met Jake, tall, broad-shouldered Jake Harlan, no relation to the dead man. Thank Christ. With his easy grin and calloused hands from fixing engines at a garage downtown. He was the anti-Milford, ambitious, with plans for his own shop, quoting Springsteen lyrics like gospel over late-night burgers. We fell hard and fast, the kind of love that feels like hitting the lottery after a lifetime of scratch-offs. He proposed on the Ohio River Bridge at sunset, ring box balanced on the hood of his Chevy. And I said yes without a second thought, picturing a life scrubbed clean of shadows. Emily drifted in like a bad habit 6 months later, fresh from beauty school in Columbus, all glossy highlights and designer knockoffs. "Sophie's getting hitched," she'd crowed over the phone. And just like that, she was back in my orbit, maid of honor by default. Because who else knew the scars under my wedding dress? She crashed at our apartment, turning planning sessions into boozy brunches at spots like the Eagle downtown, where the mimosas flowed like the Miami River in flood season. But there were cracks. Hairline fractures I ignored, the way her eyes lingered on Jake when he laughed. How she'd text him memes when I was in the shower. Little nothings that piled up like debt. I caught the first whiff of rot one humid August night, coming home early from a double shift to find the place dimmed low. Candles flickering on the coffee table like some rom-com setup gone wrong. Jake was at the garage late, or so he'd said, and Emily was supposed to be out shopping for her dress. But there she was, sprawled on our couch in my favorite oversized tee. Jake's work boots kicked off by the door, the air thick with the musk of sweat and something sweeter. Forbidden. They sprang apart like teenagers. Her hair tousled, his shirt untucked, but the lie was written in the flush on their necks. "Just watching the game," Emily stammered, remote clutched like a shield. Jake mumbled about carpooling her home, but I saw the guilt in his eyes, the way he couldn't meet mine. I didn't confront them. Not then. Revenge isn't a knee-jerk. Sophie, it's a slow burn, like moonshine in a mason jar, building until it singes your soul. Instead, I played the part, the glowing bride-to-be, toasting at the engagement party in our backyard under string lights. Emily's arm looped through mine like we were still unbreakable. But at night, alone with the hum of the AC unit rattling like bones, I'd scroll through her phone, stolen moments when she'd pass out after wine, finding the text that twisted the knife. "Miss you already." Soft's clueless. Heart emojis from Jake. Plans for just coffee that stretched into overnights. And then, the kicker. 2 pink lines on a drugstore test snapped in our bathroom mirror. Time-stamped last week. Our little secret? Pregnant. With his child. The word ours hit like buckshot, shredding the fairy tale I'd stitched from scraps. I could have walked, sued for the ring, burned their clothes on the front lawn like some redneck ritual. But no, this was bigger, bloodier in the metaphorical sense. Emily had taken everything, my trust, my future,
And now,
my family. And she owed me, deeper than dirt. That crash on Route 23? I'd carried her sin like a millstone. Lost jobs, lovers,
pieces of myself in that cell.
Harlan Reeves's ghost whispered in my dreams, his widow's glare a permanent tattoo. If she wanted to play monster, I'd hand her the mirror. The wedding was set for October in Vegas, neutral ground. A blowout on my savings and Jake's credit. Because nothing says American dream like eloping in Sin City with 100 guests flown in on red-eye hopes. Emily threw herself into it, picking out hydrangeas and string quartets, her belly just starting to swell under empire waist gowns that hid the evidence. "It's going to be perfect," she'd gush, hand on her bump like it was a trophy. Jake avoided my eyes, mumbling apologies in the kitchen over cold pizza. It was a mistake. Soft. One time. Bullshit. The timeline said otherwise. Months of stolen afternoons while I scrubbed grease traps. I started planning in secret. The way you'd plot a heist in one of those Ocean's movies. But grittier. More personal. First, the video. I'd kept the dashcam footage from that night, hidden on a thumb drive in my lockbox. The one with my parole papers and Ma's old locket. Emily's voice. Slurred but unmistakable. Soft. "Take the wheel, tell em it was you." Followed by the crash. The skid. Harlan's sedan crumpling like tinfoil. I digitized it. Edited in her texts. The pregnancy test pic. Timestamps syncing like dominoes. No gore, just cold. Hard proof of the liar she'd always been. Then the tech, a buddy from the bar. Ex-army with a grudge against cheaters. Rigged the venue's AV system remotely. One click during the toast. And boom. Prime time on the 60-inch screen behind the head table. I rehearsed my lines in the mirror. Face schooled to serenity. Because the real revenge? It's in the reveal. Watching them squirm while the world sees the mask slip. As the days ticked down, the tension coiled like a spring in my chest. Emily cornered me once. In the bridal suite at the rehearsal dinner. Her eyes sharp as switchblades. "You seem off."
Soft.
"Everything okay with you and Jake?" Testing me. That's Snake. Her hand protective over the secret growing inside. I smiled, clinked my champagne flute against hers. Couldn't be better. To us, sisters forever. She bought it. Or pretended to. But I saw the flicker. The doubt. Jake, meanwhile, was a ghost, polite at family calls, distant in bed. His side of the mattress a cold frontier. Vegas hit like a fever dream, the strip pulsing neon veins. Our suite at the Bellagio overlooking fountains that danced like they knew our sins. Guests trickled in, my cousins from Ohio, Jake's college buds from Purdue, Emily's sorority sisters with their spray tans and side-eye. The ceremony was civil. Vows exchanged under a floral arch that smelled like overripe ambition. My veil a shield for the storm brewing. Jake's "I do" came out choked. My own a vow to the grave. Then the reception, laughter echoing off crystal glasses. The band crooning some cover of At Last, Emily rising for her toast. Radiant in emerald silk that draped her figure like a siren's call. She tapped the mic. The room hushing. And that's when she unleashed it, the line that cracked the facade wide open. The words landed like a Molotov through a window, shattering the bubble of forced joy. Gasps rippled through the crowd, my Aunt Rita choking on her shrimp cocktail, Jake's brother frozen mid-sip, his face twisting from confusion to horror. Emily stood there, mic trembling in her manicured grip, tears welling like Oscar bait, her free hand cradling that invisible bump as if it were the Holy Grail. I didn't mean for it to happen.
Sophie.
It just
did.
Jake and I, we fought it. But love doesn't play by rules.
Lies.
All of it. Scripted from the soap operas she binged. But the room ate it up. head swiveling to me like I was the villain in my own rom-com. I felt the heat rise. Not rage, but something colder. Surgical, a scalpel's edge honed in county gray. Jake bolted up, chair scraping like nails on chalkboard, his face ashen under the spotlights.
Soft.
Wait, it's not, but I raised a hand, calm as a poker pro at the World Series, my smile a razor wire. Let her finish, I said, voice carrying clear over the murmurs. Emily's got the floor. Always has. Hasn't she? She leaned in, playing the tragic heroine, voice cracking just so. You're my best friend.
Soft.
My sister. I couldn't hide it anymore, not on your big day. We can work this out. Co-parent. Maybe even. Share the joy. Share the joy. The hypocrisy burned. A dumpster fire of entitlement. Guests whispered. Phones already sneaking out for the inevitable social media carcass. Wedding gone wrong trending before the cake was cut. My cousin Lila shot me a pity glance. Jake's mom dabbed her eyes with a napkin monogrammed Bellagio. And somewhere in the back, Harlan's widow, invited out of some masochistic nod to my redemption, watched with lips pursed, like she smelled the rot from a mile off. Emily paused, basking in the drama, then added the kicker. Forgive us?
Soft. Please.
For the baby's sake. The room held its breath, waiting for my crumble, my wail, the cathartic meltdown that would make this TikTok gold. But I didn't break. I nodded, slow and deliberate, and murmured into my hidden earpiece, the one my tech guy had slipped me like contraband. Now. The screen behind her hummed to life. A low buzz that cut through the tension like a chainsaw through silk. At first, no one noticed. Eyes locked on the soap opera unfolding live. Then the feed kicked in, static snow giving way to night vision green. Rain lashing a windshield. The Ford's dashcam timestamp glowing 2:17 a.m. July 14th, 2018. Emily's voice crackled through the speakers. Tinny but unmistakable. Soft. Floor it show how it's done. Laughter. Slurred and wild. Then my protest.
Slow down.
It's pouring. Cut short by the skid. The jolt. The world tilting sideways. The footage rolled. Unsparing. The guardrail buckling. Sparks flying like fireflies on steroids. The sedan careening into view and crumpling against the truck's grille with a thud that vibrated the hall's subwoofers. No body shown, just the aftermath. Emily's panicked whisper. Oh shit. Soft. There's someone in there. Call it in, say you were driving.
Please. They'll ruin me. My dad.
The scholarship, everything. Silence. Then my voice. Small but steel. Okay. I got you.
Cut to black.
Then spliced in modern clips. Texts popping up like ghosts. Missed you last night. Soft's shift ran late. Winky face. The pregnancy test.
Timestamped.
Emily's reply. Our secret. She'll never know. The room detonated. Shouts erupted. What the hell is this? From Jake's best man. A sob from Emily's sister, as the maid of honor staggered back. Mic dropping with a feedback screech that pierced eardrums. Her face contorted. Not remorse but fury. Eyes locking on mine like a cornered coyote. You bitch, she hissed. Low enough for only the front row to catch. But I heard it. Felt it like venom in my veins. Jake lunged for the AV controls, fumbling with cords. But my guy had locked it down, looping the evidence on infinite repeat. Harlan's twisted sedan, a specter no one could unplug. I stood then, veil whispering against the carpet, and took the mic she'd abandoned. The weight of it was biblical, heavy with all the unspoken accusations I'd carried for years. Ladies and gentlemen, I started, voice steady as the Mississippian drought. You know, in America, we love our redemption arcs, underdog stories, second chances, the whole Hallmark shtick. But what happens when the hero's been playing decoy for the villain all along? Murmurs swelled, phones now blatant, capturing my poise against the chaos. Aunt Rita crossed herself. Jake's mom whispered manslaughter to her husband, and in the corner, Harlan's widow rose, slow as Judgment Day. Her eyes, God, those eyes boring into Emily like lasers. Emily wasn't the innocent passenger that night. I continued, the words flowing like bourbon, smooth and scorching. I was. I took the fall for her, 6 months in a cell that smelled like despair and bleach. All because she begged. And I loved her enough to bleed for it. Harlan Reeves had a family, dreams, a life snuffed out on a rainy road because she couldn't ease off the pedal. And me, I buried it. Told myself it was loyalty. Sisterhood. A bitter laugh escaped, echoing off the gilded walls. But loyalty's a one-way street when you're the only one walking it. Emily lunged then, clawing for the mic, her dress hiking up to reveal the slight swell, real or padded. Who knew anymore? Lies. She's jealous. Unhinged parole brain. They call it. Jake grabbed her arm. Not gentle. His face a mask of betrayal squared, whispering furious nothings. The band had stopped. The dance floor a sea of stunned faces. And security hovered at the edges, walkie-talkies crackling like distant thunder. I let her rant, the loop droning behind, skid.
Crash. Plea.
You think this makes you better? She spat, tears streaking mascara into war paint. You covered for me, admitted it. We're both guilty.
Soft.
Birds of a feather. Remember? That stung. A hook in the gut. Because damn if she wasn't half right. I'd chosen silence. Worn the scarlet letter of felon like a badge. Lost promotions. Dates. Chunks of self-respect. But this? Stealing Jake. Weaponizing a baby like some Jerry Springer twist? That crossed the Mason-Dixon of forgiveness. Guilty. I echoed. My caught in my palm. Maybe. But you're the one who drove the knife deeper into my back. My bed. My future. And for what?
To win?
To prove you're the star in this tragedy. The crowd fractured then. Factions forming like battle lines in a Civil War reenactment. Jake's side clustered, murmuring support. She's a monster. Man. While Emily's sorority pack hissed back. Sophie's crazy. Always has been. Phones lit up the dim. Live streams birthing hashtags. Vegas vow betrayal. Maid of dishonor. Harlan's widow approached the stage. Her steps measured. Face carved from granite. You, she said to Emily. Voice a whip crack. You killed my husband. And she, nodding at me, paid for it. No forgiveness there. Just the raw edge of grief weaponized. Security finally moved in, ushering Emily toward the exit. Her protests a banshee wail. Jake.
Tell them.
The baby's yours. But he stood rooted. Eyes on me. Pleading silent questions. I handed off the mic to the bandleader, the loop finally fading to black, and stepped down, veil trailing like a surrender flag. The cake sat untouched, tears of fondant mockery, as guests milled in shocked clusters, some hugging me, others shooting glances like I was the arsonist at my own barbecue. Back in the suite that night, the strips glow mocking through floor-to-ceiling windows. Jake knocked soft,
Tentative.
like he expected a shotgun blast. I let him in, still in my gown, makeup smudged from silent tears. Soft. Jesus. Why didn't you tell me? He collapsed on the chaise, head in hands, the tux rumpled like his alibi. About the crash. Emily, any of it. Because it was mine to carry, I said, pouring scotch neat. The burn of familiar friend. And you? How long?
Jake?
Before the mistake? He flinched, confessing in fragments. The first kiss at a bar crawl Emily orchestrated. The guilt that fueled the fire instead of dousing it. She said you were distant, that the wedding was stressing you out. I thought. Hell. I don't know. The baby? Real. Confirmed by a test he'd seen. But I love you.
Soft.
This changes nothing, everything. Lies again. Or half-truths. The currency of cowards. I watched him unravel. The man I'd planned a life with reduced to a stranger in cummerbund. And felt the revenge curdle, not sweet, but necessary. A purge. Get out, I whispered, not yelling, because volume betrays weakness.
He did.
Door clicking shut like a guillotine, leaving me with the ghosts. Emily's rage texts lighting up my phone. You'll pay for this. You whore. And the distant wail of ambulances. Or maybe just my conscience catching up. Dawn broke over the desert, harsh and unforgiving. As I packed one bag, essentials, the thumb drive tucked safe. No honeymoon, no happily ever after. Just me, driving east on I-15, radio crackling with news of the Vegas wedding exposé, my name trending. Emily's arrest pending for the old warrant I'd anonymously tipped. Harlan's widow had called, too. Voice soft. Thank you. For the truth. But thanks from the grave? It rang hollow. A check bounced on bad faith. I pulled over at a diner off the interstate. Sophie Blosk as my muet. Scrolling the fallout. Jake's pleas on Insta. Emily's GoFundMe for legal defense against false claims. The world picking sides, Team Sophie versus Free Emily. Debates raging in comment sections like digital coliseums. Was I avenger or accomplice? Saint or sinner who'd enabled the devil? The lines blurred, as they always do in the Heartland haze. 3 months later, back in Cincinnati, the city felt like a stranger's skin. Too tight, chafing with memories at every corner. I'd sublet a studio in Over the Rhine, the artsy district with its murals of forgotten revolutionaries and breweries pumping IPAs like blood. No more diner grease. I landed a gig at a nonprofit, counseling parolees on reintegration. Ironic therapy for the therapist. Own your story, I'd tell them, voice steady. But inside, mine was a choose-your-own-adventure gone rogue. Pages stained with what-ifs. The scandal had legs. Slithering through tabloids and true crime pods. Bridesmaids' baby bump bombshell. Episodes dissecting the footage. Armchair juries voting on my villainy. Supporters flooded my Venmo. Small-town folks from Milford who'd always hated Emily's family. Widows who'd lost to drunk drivers. Haters, too. Emily's army, painting me as the jealous harpy who'd weaponized a dead man's tragedy for clicks. Jake tried reconciliation. Flowers at my door. Voicemails thick with regret. We can start over.
Soft.
No, baby. No, Emily, just us. But the trust was ash, scattered on that Vegas carpet. Emily? Out on bail. Belly blooming full term now. Her lawyer spinning the narrative. Mutual cover-up. No intent. The DA dragged feet. Statute tick-tock. My testimony the linchpin, but whispers said a plea deal loomed. House arrest over bars. She texted once. A white flag emoji followed by, the baby's kicking. Wants his auntie. Forgive.
Delete.
Block. But forgiveness? It's a luxury good. Like forgiveness itself. And I'd bankrupted my quota. The twist came unannounced. A gut punch wrapped in certified mail, court docs from Emily's suit against Jake for paternity, demanding support. Enclosed, a lab report. DNA results stamped official, 99.9% match. But wait. The fine print, sample collected pre-reveal. From a clinic in Columbus. And then, the real bomb, Jake wasn't the father. The donor line? Anonymous. But cross-referenced with public records, my PI buddy, bless his nosy heart. It traced to Emily's ex. A sleaze from beauty school who'd ghosted her after one hookup. She'd lied about the timeline, the affair, everything, to trap Jake.
To shatter me.
I laughed then, alone in my shoebox apartment, the sound echoing off brick walls like a madwoman's hymn. All that rage. The meticulously plotted downfall. For a phantom child, Emily's moxie was Machiavellian. A con worthy of a Scorsese script, using my buried sin as leverage. Flipping the board when cornered. But it cracked her too. Leaks hit the feeds. Her GoFundMe tanking. Sorority sisters bailing like rats from a flood. Jake showed up that night. Rain-slicked and desperate. Pounding the door until neighbors grumbled. It's not mine.
Soft.
She played us both. We talked, raw, unfiltered. Over takeout lo mein on my fire escape. The city humming below like a beast sated. He confessed the full spiral, how Emily had groomed him, whispered doubts about my stability, dangled the pregnancy like bait on a hook. I was weak, he admitted, eyes red-rimmed. But you're my North Star. Always were. The pull was magnetic. Gravity's cruel joke, love as addiction. Relapse inevitable. We tried. Cautious as cats on a hot tin roof. Therapy sessions in strip mall offices. Weekends hiking the Appalachian trails where cell service died, and so did the noise. Emily delivered in January. A boy named after her dad. Headlines mercifully brief. Scandal baby born amid legal limbo. No charges stuck. The crash too old. Evidence too circumstantial. My perjury a mutual ghost. She vanished to Florida. Last I heard. Peddling essential oils on Insta. Bump faded but grudge eternal. Spring bloomed tentative. Cherry blossoms dusting the riverfront like confetti from a half-hearted parade. Jake and I renewed vows, not Vegas glitz, but a quiet courthouse stew. Witnesses our parole counselor and a barista who'd comped my lattes during the dark days. No maid of honor. Just us. Rings exchanged with promises unadorned. No more secrets. It felt fragile. A house of cards in hurricane season. But real, scarred. Human. The American way. Yet the twist lingered. A barb in the happy ending. Late nights, when Jake snored soft beside me, I'd wake to Harlan's face in the shadows. Eyes accusing not Emily,
but me.
I'd enabled her, carried her sins, and in revenge, unearthed them for the world. Was I redeemed, or just the lesser evil? Pod still debated. Sophie, hero or hypocrite? Listeners split. Forums ablaze, some cheering my takedown, others decrying the public pillory of a pregnant woman. Emily's fans called it bullying, mine, justice porn. In the end, no one's hands were clean, mine sticky with complicity. Hers with blood and deceit. Jake's with wandering. We rebuilt on rubble. A testament to resilience or delusion, depending on your lens. But as I trace the new ring on my finger, feeling the kick of possibility, our possibility, this time, I wonder, in the theater of grudges, does the curtain ever truly fall? Or do we just dim the lights, pretending the ghosts have exited stage left?